I will walk you through the whole picture. Let's see, we have these slides running. This slide is comprised of two network services, the EPC and the management of the EPC. They are ready. If we see the primitives that are associated to this DNF or this network service, we see two proxy charms and one native charm. So two charms are running in LXD machines inside this environment. So if I run an LXC list grep for B76, sorry, wrong command, and wrong privileges. Oh. Well, I won't be able to run it from this user, but I will show you. It just will show the list of LXC containers running, and two of them are called this way, and they have the code that runs the charms to the Magma Access Gateway and to the BIOS router. I mean the PNF. And then we have the SLTE emulator, which runs that charm in its own operating system. That's why it's called native charm. So we'll be sharing this link. It's public anyway. This is where the whole walkthrough is documented. So I will take the primitives from here. I will register my inode B first. I will open a new window to monitor that. So this is the OSM machine. I won't be using the script so that you get familiar with the commands. Okay. So OSM BNF list will give me the management address of my BNF. In this case, Magma is this address here. So Magma at address. And here I will be able to monitor my MME element. It's the one that implements a control plane for the inode Bs and the UEs. So I have 0 inode Bs now. Imagine that the inode B was physically installed with the antenna and everything. So it's ready to be registered, and as an operator, I can run just a primitive, and I'm not finding that network service with this name. Of course, it's called Magma Slice 1. And I'm telling it, I'm passing some parameters, the IP addresses of both ends, and eventually this inode B, this new inode B will appear here with a control message, and there you go. So now we have these two elements connected through a data plane interface implemented through sr-iov and integrated at the S1 level, I mean, using the 3GPP standards. Now, we will, of course, we need a subscriber in the orchestrator. So let us see what is the IP address of my orchestrator. So there is, as you know, an OSM command that will tell us the addressing of the Kubernetes network function. So if I do a BNF show of the Kubernetes network function here, and then put KDU and indicate the name of the KDU inside it, which is called Orcator, then it will communicate with using the credentials with the Kubernetes cluster and get this information here. So then I know that the external IP of the Nginx proxy of Magma orchestrator is this one. Now I'll go to Firefox because my Google Chrome is not recognizing the certificate. And type the address. Oh, okay, sorry. HTTPS, of course, of the orchestrator. We are using test certificates. That's why we get a warning. And now I'm accessing my orchestrator. And we should see this happened first with day one primitives. Automatically behind the scenes, it registered the gateway. And it also created a test subscriber, which is here. So it has an IMSI, an authentication key, an OPC, so the parameters of the SIM card that will authenticate. So everything is ready to run my second primitive that will attach the UE. And I will get that primitive from this repo here. All right, with the simulating the SIM card. I will update the name of the neighbor service. Oh, it's nice. Okay, so now this one takes a little bit more time because it has to initialize the radio, the emulated radio connection at the server, and depending on the resources, it could take a little bit more. At this point, we should see in that machine, that UE machine, the emulator, you should see some activity. Of course, we will see soon some activity too here of all the control plane. We can see probably if I check the processes running, we will see a couple of them. The NOD process, the UE process running the same machine. Okay, there is all the control plane information, and now we have the attached UE. This, as was explained at some point, creates the GTP tunnel, which is the tunnel between the user interface, the user equipment on the cell phone and the and the packet core, so that data is sent. So this is my gateway in the tunnel. I can ping to it. I actually have a default gateway going through it, so I should be able to go to internet. I am able to go to internet, and I shouldn't, but that's because of something. Remember that we have this BIOS router filtering everything, but it depends. If that rule was already applied, then we don't need to apply it anymore with a day2 primitive. Might not be your case. It depends on the IP address that was assigned. So in my case, the IP address that belongs to the SGI network, which is this pink one, is .9. And probably that IP address is already assigned, it's already there. So that's why I have internet. What else? We have seen the web service. And the web cache service. So we might just add it now again. But for me, it's not here because I didn't run the exercise, but I just clone this. This repo. And I will get the packages somehow. magma there, and there is a build web host script that will launch that script server using my Vim account. In this case, I will update it. So you already went through all of this in the previous session, not using this script, of course, but using a different method. You also already have the packages in your system, so you can just launch the web cache as it was explained in that session. In my case, since I didn't go through that process, I'm doing it differently. I'll be right back with the questions. I just want to test the end-to-end here. Okay, so that will launch another network service. And to do it differently this time, I will get the service from the cluster directly and see if it's there. It gets the tenant as namespace, the ID of the network service as namespace value in Kubernetes. There it is, and it acquired this address here. So if I go back to my UE, which is here, I should be able to reach that service, proxy service. There it is. And I will test it just here, not in Firefox for now. Maybe we can go to Firefox, I mean to the VNC, or you can do it with a curl command using a proxy. So it's with the X and the address of the proxy service, which is 172.21.250.102 with a port 3128. And I will try to visit, example.org through the proxy variables. So it's not letting me in, it seems. Let's see if something changes when I add the primitive. So the primitive was our proxy primitive is to add an address, a URL, a destination internet address. I'm going to add it here. So now it is there. I can visit the service. So that's the end-to-end. You also can access and test this through the console of the src LTE machine and access Firefox and do most things more graphically. But since it will be slow for me, then I'm trying to avoid that.